Welcome to episode 1 of Skills I Should Have Learned in 10 Years of University Hopping. Today, I want to take these little thingies and this stupid face and smash them together into a fun, cute pastel composite. Problem number 1. I have issues with intrinsic motivation. And problem number 2. I'm horrible at compositing. In case you need proof, here's some of my old attempts at compositing. Yeah, so clearly not exactly my forte. By the end of this video, we'll see if I've managed to brute force my way into a half-decent composite, or whether I've just wasted hours of my life. I've always had a long backlog of skills I've wanted to learn or improve. Sadly, I simultaneously suffer from pretty severe decision paralysis and very often default to watching a TV show I've seen 100 times as the easy way out when confronted with the decision to try something new or practice something I've already started learning. Learning to create composites in Photoshop has been on my list for a very long time. Ironically enough, one of my attempts at compositing a few years ago addressed this exact theme. Subtle, I know. Just imagine the beer bottles or blender and the toilet paper is substance designer. Well, now that I've learned some 3D and procedural skills, my interest in compositing has morphed into an interest in the creation of all aspects of a composite. This probably stems from a need to incorporate the known, skills I already practice and feel comfortable with, like photography and procedural texture creation, with the unknown. Skills I long for and steer clear of out of some weird fear of failing, like compositing and video editing. So before I landed on my aforementioned idea, I decided that I needed a specific goal or project with a tangible but realistic deadline. This deadline had to be created by me, but also needed to be difficult to move. So I decided on the next holiday, which turned out to be Valentine's Day, and I decided that I would create a composite combining multiple skill sets. I would create a material and substance designer to use as the backdrop for a Valentine's Day themed self-portrait and document the process in a video for YouTube. I would try new editing and storytelling techniques and then post it. So here I am with a project idea, a deadline, and a platform to show my results, which means I constructed extrinsic motivation to force myself to really try. Once I'd gathered references, I tried my hand at making the material I had up until that point only built in my brain, which has proven to be a faulty technique. After I'd proven to myself that my idea would probably, maybe, potentially, hopefully work, my first step was to create an exhaustive schedule for substancing, scripting, filming, compositing, recording, and editing. So I had a solid plan, a detailed schedule. Nothing could go wrong, right? Right? Well, spoiler alert, a lot went wrong. I mean, look at the upload date of this video. It's not even close to February 14th. Yeah, my body decided step number 2 for me. I got so sick that I couldn't stick to a single thing that I had so thoroughly planned out. So step number 3 ended up being playing Stardew Valley on the couch for a few days. I actually ended up feeling oddly productive, tending to virtual crops and romances between pixels, because I've been told that as a game artist, I should actually play games. So this was basically a prescription from the game dev community. I was basically working. Shout out to my work friends for the suggestion, by the way. After my immune system finally remembered what the fuck I pay it to do, I dragged myself back to the project. With the deadline getting closer by the minute, I used that energy reserve only my fellow procrastinators truly know, and got up and did a somewhat rushed attempt at everything I wanted to accomplish. First, I finished my material and filmed a tutorial on how to make it. You'd think that a material this simple would be a one-shot deal, but no, not for Sydney. I cut the footage out, but it involved a whole lot of backtracking and restarting sections. At this point, I realized that tutorials for substance materials take forever, and more importantly, are not interesting to almost anyone other than the person making them. I don't know where I got the idea that people might be interested in step-by-step processes on how to create completely, well, useless substance materials. But hey, I filmed based on that premise. I might have even edited and posted the tutorial just to watch it flop like every other tutorial I've made up until now. Anyway, once I was happy with my material, I set up my little home studio. Nothing beats filling the one and only room in my apartment with photography gear that I will then be too lazy to put away for 3 days. Who needs a usable living space anyway? Oh, and I didn't get it on camera, but I managed to have my very heavy light stand tip over and dent my floor. My rental floor. So that was also fun. Other than that, this worked out quite well. So then I went ahead and honed another skill that scares the shizzles out of me: makeup. Every time I do makeup, I feel like both a toddler and a senior at the same time. I have the patience and dexterity of a 4-year-old, and apparently the learning ability of a 70-year-old. Regardless, I recently learned that my facial anatomy requires some special treatment in the makeup department. See how you can barely see any eyelid? See how this person has an eyelid? Well, apparently this is a type of hooded eye, and I'm supposed to follow specific tutorials to not look like a raccoon? So I applied this newly acquired knowledge and made myself all cute and girly in my poorly lit bathroom. I smeared on a light layer of pale skin-colored paint to make myself look somewhat less 30 and blotchy. I put different shades of pink, shimmery powder over my eye holes, and even did a version of contouring I like to call, "Why do makeup tips have an expiration date? I watched a makeup tutorial 10 years ago. That should be enough to last me my whole life. Da fuck?" Then I added a little bit of color on my lips since I don't want to feed the necrophiliacs online. I made sure to take my time, and I feel like it may have turned out alright, if I do say so myself. So now that I was all cute and tired, wait, does anyone else get ridiculously sleepy the moment they put eye makeup on? I went ahead and photographed myself. Since there are no sweetheart candies in Germany, I bought heart-shaped baby cereal instead. At this point in the process, I was still under the impression that I would make a stop-motion animation of me emerging from a pile of candy.
I also had this idea to do an animation.
So I kept putting the cereal in my mouth and spitting it out as part of that idea. Yeah, that's what's happening here. And that was my second mistake, thinking I could easily edit 30 frames for an animation. Yeah, editing one image or 30, potato, right? After I had the ingredients for my composite, I needed to render my material in a way that would allow an easy composite with my portraits. My first attempt ended in something that I thought looked somewhat acceptable on that particular day. I can't remember whether I was drunk or something. Anyways, I was into it, so I tried my hand at compositing. It did not go well, especially looking back at it now. I just couldn't get it right. At the end of day 1 of compositing, I felt a bit talentless. I got a fresh dose of Impostor Syndrome and wondered how, as someone who studied and works on visual art daily, I could still struggle so much to see what wasn't working in my composite. How could I, if at all, ever learn these skills given that they clearly don't come naturally to me? One time when I was studying photography, I got made fun of for not seeing color casts in photographs. That's what this is. And this just reminded me of that moment. Not only do I not seem to have an eye for aesthetics, but it feels like I almost have some kind of a blindness that doesn't allow me to analyze what's in front of me. I see something is wrong, but I can't for the life of me figure out what. And this is a hard pill to swallow. I really enjoy creating art from start to finish and not showing it until it's done. I guess the faster I accept that outside help is potentially essential for me to be able to create good imagery, the better off I'll be. I already apply this idea at my day job, but I guess I refuse to accept it when it comes to personal projects. Speaking of projects, let's get back to it. Day 2, I started over on compositing. Here I go again. I was a bit desperate, so I did something I'm not super proud of. I got some new references from AI since I couldn't find any good references for exactly what I wanted. I redid my render of the candy to better match my photo, and I chose a new portrait. I gave it a 90s vibe, following a couple of tutorials, and finally felt like I had arrived at a result I was proud enough of to show other humans. As I record this, I am once again less proud of it than in that moment. But perfectionism is the enemy of progress, somebody said, apparently. And even though I already missed my Valentine's Day deadline by a month, I need to upload this shit. So here I am, creating my first voiceover for a video, editing a video in a new style, showcasing a struggleful process that ended in a subpar result at best. But most importantly, here I am processing hours of footage, or to put a more positive spin on it, proof of hours upon hours of creative and technical work, proof that I'm continuously working on myself. I don't know, I feel like I found myself a cheat code for learning and practicing new skills, and the blueprint looks like this. First, I need a deadline. Second, I need a project idea tied conceptually to a specific date, so as to make the deadline more difficult to move. Third, a mix of comfortable skills and uncomfortable struggle topics to ensure some wins along the way. Fourth, a platform to showcase the process and result. If nothing else, at least I made something, and that's already better than just thinking of making something and watching Friends for the 10th time instead. So, did I overcome my compositing curse? Debatable. But did I prove that sheer stubbornness and a well-timed deadline can force me to learn? Absolutely. So here's to many more dumb projects and all the skills we might just learn along the way. Cheers!